Coming up on News Center 16 at 5:30.
The cleanup process has begun after storms hammered much of Michiana. But when are the lights going to go back on? Plus, just how extensive is the storm damage? A look at how driving along a major roadway became tricky for folks today. And a teen is missing after he was swept away in a storm drain. The latest on rescue efforts.
From WNDU, your breaking news and weather authority. This is News Center 16 at 5:30.
Intense winds and rain kept most of us up last night. Good evening, I'm Maureen McFadden. As with every storm, once the damage is done, the cleanup process begins. Let's first take a look at the areas around Michiana hit hardest. Thousands of people are still without power. St. Joseph County is looking at over 21,000 customers in the dark, 2,000 in Elkhart County and 1,000 in Marshall County. While in Michigan, over 20,000 are without power in Berrien County and more than 6,000 in Cass County. They hope to release more information about when power could be back on later tonight. And discouraging news for NIPSCO customers. NIPSCO says it could take a number of days to get the lights back on. Well, potholes are definitely not the main focus today on Michiana roads. Instead, it's numerous broken poles and cross arms stretched out across the roads. All day, folks have been outside trying to clean up the mess around their homes, but I&M has a warning. Don't touch the wires. It may look like it's de-energized, but you never know. There's still a potential for danger. Instead, Indiana Michigan Power wants you to take out your phone and report it. They're doing their best to head out to all reported locations with downed utility poles, but keep in mind this isn't a quick fix.
The broken poles, obviously to put a pole up, it's labor intensive. You have to have a crew of multi-members and they can't do it in 5 minutes. So we're working at it as efficiently and as safely as possible to get power back on as soon as we can.
I&M says they don't yet have an estimated time when power will be restored. They'll be getting power back to folks throughout the day, but they don't expect everything to be back for another day or two. It's been a long day for folks in Marshall County who woke up to streets littered with tree limbs and some property damage. News Center 16's Gabby Gonzalez spent the day in Marshall County and joins me live in the studio. So Gabby, driving around South Bend and Mishawaka was an eye-opener today. Just how extensive is damage there?
Well, Mo, it truly varies from one block to another. The high winds cause some big issues for folks who now have to clear out those fallen trees from their property. A trip down US 31 proved to be a bit tricky today. Numerous utility poles were snapped and power lines were spread across the road. One Plymouth mom tells me she's just glad she was able to get her kids to a safe place before things got really bad last night. Ashley Konevsky was just getting home from work Monday night when the storm rolled in.
It was very scary. I was expecting something to fall on our house.
She hurried her kids into the basement.
We had to wake them up. They didn't understand what was going on. They thought we were just going to camp out in the basement for the night.
That's when they heard a loud sound right outside.
Came outside and saw the neighbor's house. Then I knew it was pretty bad.
This large tree snapped, narrowly missing her neighbor's home.
I'd say it's been the worst yet.
Just one block over, the cleanup is ongoing at Centennial Park. These towering trees are now missing plenty of limbs. The storm casualties litter the walkways.
There's trees everywhere, debris, leaves. I really have never seen anything like it in my time in Plymouth or my time at the park here. It was pretty wild.
We traveled up US 31 where these low-hanging power lines caused traffic to slow down. One utility pole after another taken out of commission by this summer storm. A quick drive leads to Lake of the Woods, where strong winds flattened this cornfield.
We just came outside this morning and the corn was just totally flattened, and then there's this path of flattened corn going north, and we're just like, this is crazy. We've never seen anything like that before.
The roots bent and the leaves resting on the ground.
We're not sure if it'll stand back up or if it'll just be a loss. I don't know yet.
So you see the damage right there, Lake of the Woods. I was also in Bremen today. Not a lot of damage there. They told me they did lose power, but that most of them had that restored earlier today. And that street crews were out as early as 1:30 a.m. clearing out debris. So they were in pretty good shape by this morning.
Yeah, shout out to all the people who are out there helping. And it's very good news for them because this is a busy week in Bremen.
Yeah, the Fireman's Festival kicks off today with a big parade. So folks had their lawn chairs out there today. They were glad that they could go on as planned with the parade starting at 6:30 today. I'm going to have much more on that and the cleanup process for them coming up at 6.
All right, Gabby, thanks a lot. Well, as mentioned, Mother Nature's fury didn't spare the cities of South Bend and Mishawaka from her wrath. Damage in both is widespread. We'll start in South Bend, where Howard Park took a massive hit. Many trees that have been providing shade to visitors for longer than most of us have been alive were knocked down like toothpicks. Not too far away in River Park, we found crews hard at work trying to chip up trees that had fallen at Wall and 25th Street, while other trees were leaning precariously close to homes. 2 blocks down at Wall and 27th, residents weren't so lucky. A massive tree fell on the roof of their house and did some damage. And farther down the street at 28th and Wall, a young couple with a 2-week-old baby made it to the basement just in time. And to the east, a Mishawaka man had a close call.
My husband was looking out the window of the porch to the yard, and he saw the tree starting to go, and he said it's coming down. And so we ran to the basement, and it hit luckily in between the 2 houses and didn't cause as much damage as it could have. Luckily we came out of it all right.
I was out on the front porch, a big gust of wind came, the tree come crashing down on top of the house, and I just took off and dove into the living room on the ground.
Both Leach and Mangold have damage that will need to be fixed. The tree uprooted at Mangold's house near Logan and Broadway has also provided some photo ops. When the tree went down, it tented several feet in the air, and he says about 200 people have stopped to have their pictures taken. Perhaps the best news to come out of this story, both little Savannah, the newborn, just 2 weeks old, and Mangold's 86-year-old aunt slept through the entire storm. Well, we've seen video of downed trees and power lines this morning, and now a truck. We found this truck turned over on Edison Road in Mishawaka. I actually snapped a picture of that one myself. The owner of Lancers, The Natural Way, says her truck was picked up and thrown over on its side during the storm. She called a tow truck to help set it upright, but as it turns out, the tow truck was too small.
I was working late last night, so I was actually coming in a little later today, and yeah, that's what we found, the truck. So lots of traffic going by, taking pictures. The damage up here is crazy. But yeah, it actually not only flipped it, but pushed it too. So that wind had to be crazy.
Dawn said that because they're having a furniture liquidation sale, they had a ton of deliveries today, but she hopes in light of this morning's incident, customers will understand the reason for the delay. Well, Mike Hoffman was on the air all night tracking the severe weather for us as it blew across the area. He joins us with a closer look at what caused all this damage. Mike?
This half hour I wanted to kind of focus on some of the pictures and explain some things. First of all, the National Weather Service has been out surveying across the area. They have found so far no evidence of any tornado touching down across Michiana. It's all been straight line winds. Now, they're still not completely done. They still might find something, but that means 95% of the trees and debris were leaning toward the east as the winds were coming in from the west, and that's been the case from what I've seen as well. But as you can see, this tree near Juniper and Cleveland did fall to the south, and I found in my neighborhood, I found about 3 trees that were leaning to the northwest and west, so it does occasionally happen, but 95% of them are moving to the east, and I didn't see any evidence of a tornado either. Here's another thing that happens. Obviously, when a tree falls on a structure, it causes major damage, and this is the case. But look at this tree. This is mainly hollow in the middle, so a system like this is going to take out the weaker trees a lot of times. They may not look weak, but they could be hollow down the middle or already starting to kind of get to the end of their life. The other thing that I believe happened in this case, look at how many trees were like this, where it rips up part of the yard or the road with the root system. I believe with all the rains we've had this June, that's allowed the ground to be a lot wetter than normal, and so we have a lot of major trees that have been uprooted, not snapped at all, just because their roots can't hold in the very wet soil. So that was another reason for it. Coming up at 6, I'm going to show you the radar and show you how everything evolved yesterday. Right now, the radar, 16 Doppler max, showing absolutely nothing. It's going to be a beautiful evening out there. Finally, some dry weather coming our way. How long will it last, though? I'll have my 7-day coming up.
Thanks, Mike. Warsaw certainly felt the wrath of the severe storm. When we talked to Kosciuszko County officials earlier, we asked how many calls they were responding to, and in short, they said several. Take a look at this video. Trees are down everywhere, not just falling over, completely uprooted. Others saw downed power lines thanks to the trees falling, resulting in several power outages. Residents described some of these yards as, quote, a war zone. And stay with News Center 16 as we continue to follow the storm damage that hit Michiana last night. We'll have much more coming up tonight at 6, and you can always check the latest information on our website, WNDU.com. Well, search crews in Iowa are out again this evening searching for a 17-year-old boy who was swept away in an overflowing storm drain. It was just after 7 Monday night when police and firefighters responded to 2 teenage boys who'd been swept away. Police say 3 teens were walking toward an elementary school to play frisbee when one of the teens in the water was swept into the storm drain. That's when one of the teens' friends, also 17, tried to help, but he too was swept in. Fortunately for him, he was later found alive in a drain pipe more than a mile from where he entered. He was treated and released from an area hospital.
Yes, it's an eye-opener for all young kids not to play around the sewers.
I don't think I'll be safe around.
Really scary because I have a child of my own, and man, it has to be extremely scary and sad.
Rescuers haven't found the first teen. Family and friends wait patiently as others help search, hoping and praying their loved one is found. Violent thunderstorms socked the Chicago area with hurricane-force wind gusts and torrential rain that flooded a major highway Monday night. 2 powerful storm cells swept across the northern part of Illinois, dumping massive amounts of rain that flooded the busy expressway heading into O'Hare International Airport. All but one lane of I-90 was completely shut down at Manheim Road, and authorities were allowing only 1 car to venture through at a time, creating a massive backup. Traffic was backed up so far that some travelers, desperate to make their flights, left their cars and walked to the airport with their luggage. This wasn't just affecting travelers. Some pilots and crew members have posted tweets that they were also stuck in the traffic jam.
There's absolutely no way into the airport, so here we go.
So what did you do?
So tried to take a cab and then started walking.
How far did you walk?
About a mile.
So why did you make the decision to just get out of the cab?
Because we've been in traffic for about 2 hours and weren't going anywhere.
Maintenance crews work round the clock to clear the roads of standing water, even using snow plows to push the water aside.
More to come on News Center 16.
No break for GM. The recalls just keep on rolling in. But now an important question. How will they go about valuing a life or an injury? And Chrysler is the latest automaker to join the recall club. A look at whether your vehicle's on the list. Plus, the number of prescribed painkillers varies for each state. Just before 6, a look at which states have the highest and lowest rates.
Tracking inconvenient weather where you live. Storm Team 16 is your weather authority.
High temperature right where we thought it would be today in the low 80s. However, it's a little bit less humid than yesterday. This is where the muggy stuff is, still down along the Ohio River, but look to the northwest. Afternoon temperatures only in the mid-60s across Minnesota and northwestern Wisconsin. That area is coming this way, so lakeshore areas tomorrow, you're probably going to stay in the 60s. So keep that in mind if you are heading to Lake Michigan. Now, some of our local temperatures, maybe because of power outages, I'm not sure, but we are missing some of them. You can see everybody's in the low to mid-80s at this point. St. Joe, Benton Harbor, though, 78 degrees, already a little bit cooler along Lake Michigan there. Satellite radar combination shows the main cold front is actually down to the south along the Ohio River. That's where thunderstorms are now developing in Missouri, southern Illinois. Those will be sweeping into southern Indiana. Should not be as bad as we saw last night. So even if you have friends and family members down there, don't have to worry about that. These are some light showers scattered across the upper Midwest, and that could be coming our way tomorrow. Some of us could get a brief shower, but we're not talking much rain, and we're definitely not talking thunderstorms again during the day tomorrow. For this evening, well, it's going to be a nice one to be outdoors. Obviously, a lot of folks are picking up twigs, even trying to get some of the trees cut up in their yard, and that's terrible work. But the only good thing from all of that is at least it's dry now. We don't have any rain or thunderstorms coming our way for this evening. Here's the way it looks right now. South Bend International Airport, it's 83 degrees. You can see the blue sky out there. Relative humidity much lower than yesterday, 46%. Winds are west to southwesterly at 22. So here's what the future looks like with 16 Future Track. This is our close-up version. Should be dry this evening. Now, Future Track is showing after midnight. Could be a couple of spots see a brief light shower, but that's pretty unlikely. Just a slight chance for that Partly sunny skies throughout the day tomorrow, but during the midday and afternoon hours, there is a slight chance of a brief shower in parts of the area, not everywhere. That'll move on by tomorrow evening, and as we head toward Thursday, we should start to see more sunshine again. Here's my Storm Team 16 forecast for all of Michiana for tonight. More pleasant this evening. Low temperature down to 62 as it turns cooler and partly cloudy later on tonight. And here is a look at the 7-day forecast. You can see a yellow day, barely a yellow day tomorrow. High temperature of only 70 degrees. Slight chance of a brief shower. Then we have some gorgeous weather coming our way. Cool mornings, but pleasant afternoons. 72 for Thursday, 75 for the 4th of July. That's about as nice as it gets for a holiday there. And 78 and sunny on Saturday. Only a slight chance of a late afternoon or evening thunderstorm on Sunday. So overall, after this nasty weather we've seen last night, and even actually over the past couple of weeks, we've seen some pretty bad weather. At least we have a nice, pleasant weekend coming our way. A chance of thunderstorms early next week.
Got an answer for you about your freezer.
Oh.
He was wondering how long your food would stay good
If you
because you
keep
don't
the
have
door
power.
closed, no.
If you keep it closed and the freezer's full, Food.gov is saying 48 hours if it's half
Ooh, that's
full,
good.
24 hours, but they suggest you might want to get a block of get dry ice or a block of ice
put in there real quick.
So,
okay,
there's
we'll
your
keep that
answer.
in mind. Thank you.
I just Googled it. Well, the first named tropical storm of the 2014 Atlantic season has formed, as you well know,
That's
Mike.
right.
That's according to the National Hurricane Center. Tropical storm Arthur is moving slowly, heading northwest, and is said to be about 95 miles southeast of Cape Canaveral. A tropical storm watch has been issued for the coast of east central Florida from Fort Pierce northward to just south of Flagler Beach. By 2 a.m. Friday, forecasters say the storm will near the North Carolina Outer Banks. The system is forecasted to bring heavy showers to New York City and Boston. Well, coming up, the CDC took a look at the numbers of prescriptions written for painkillers just before 6. See just how staggering the results are among different states. Plus, GM has the toughest task ahead of them. How exactly will they put a value on life? That's next. Welcome back. The number is astonishing. So far this year, GM has recalled 25 million vehicles in the U.S. after adding another 7.9 million to the list on Monday. Just last week, CEO Mary Barra told NBC's Matt Lauer GM was undertaking a thorough safety review. Meanwhile, the company's compensation administrator, Ken Feinberg, has the impossible job of deciding how much to compensate the injured and the families of those who've died in GM cars. Feinberg says the family of a 17-year-old student who died would receive $2.2 million. The spouse of a 25-year-old earning $46,000 a year with 2 children would get $4 million. And a 10-year-old child who became a paraplegic would receive $7.8 million.
How do you go about valuing a life or an injury?
I value lives and injuries the same way, Tom, that courts and judges and juries do every day.
Families who accept compensation would have to agree not to sue GM. Feinberg hopes to begin accepting applications by August 1st and offer payout within 3 to 6 months. Chrysler announced yesterday it's recalling nearly 700,000 vehicles because of an ignition switch problem similar to the one that forced General Motors to recall 2.6 million vehicles worldwide. The recall affects more than 500,000 vehicles in the U.S. It includes some Dodge Journey SUVs, Dodge Grand Caravans, and Chrysler Town & Country minivans made from 2007 to 2009. The company says jarring road conditions, such as hitting a pothole, may cause the vehicle's key to slip out of the run position. So far, Chrysler is unaware of any injuries related to the recall. And here now are 16 stocks of local interest. Doctors wrote 259 million prescriptions for strong, potentially addictive painkillers in 2012. The number was 3 times higher in some states than others. Erica Edwards has the story.
Treatment of severe pain may not depend on how badly you feel, but where you live. A new report from the Centers for Disease Control finds prescription rates for opioid painkillers like oxycodone and hydrocodone vary widely from state to state. Looking at the map, states with the highest prescription rates are shown in dark purple. Most are in the South, with Alabama topping the list. Experts say it's not that people living in southern states are in more pain than others. The South has the highest rates of antibiotic prescriptions as well.
Clearly, there's disagreement or a lack of consensus among healthcare providers across the country as to when to prescribe this type of drug.
The problem is there's a link between the number of prescriptions written and overdoses. Florida is touted as a success story, slashing the number of overdose deaths in half within 2 years of legislative action against pill mills. The state regulated pain clinics and stopped doctors from dispensing prescription painkillers from their offices. Hawaii was the state with the fewest opioid prescriptions written. Erica Edwards, NBC News.
New York experienced a 75% drop in doctor shopping after it started requiring physicians to check with the state's prescription drug monitoring program before prescribing painkillers. Well, coming up, a young Ohio girl just can't stop thinking about the recent Bruno Mars concert she just saw. Not only was she treated to his music, but a special tribute from the singer himself. Check it out next. Zamea Thorpe is still smiling and dancing since Saturday's concert, where she met and was serenaded by Bruno Mars himself. The musician showered her with gifts, including his hat, guitar, signed picture, tour jacket, just to name a few. She felt more than special. Bruno learned of the dangerous accident that damaged 4 parts of Zamea's brain. So at the concert, he shared her story and tweeted about how she inspires him. Now that's a great selfie.
Yeah, no question about it. And finally, we do have some great weather coming our way. Nice dry conditions on 16 Doppler max, and you can see that we're going to stay that way through the evening. The thunderstorms developing along the front that affected us yesterday won't be as bad, and they'll be in southern Indiana.
Okay, our 90 minutes of news continues next when Terry rejoins us. Here's a preview.